Welcome to I Think You're Muted, the podcast for podcasters ready to go from muted to mighty. This is a space where we unmute powerful voices and amplify the stories that need to be heard. Today's episode is particularly special as we bridge the gap between my current journey and the exciting new direction this podcast is headed. If you've ever felt like your voice wasn't being heard or you're navigating how to show up authentically online, this conversation is for you. My guest today is Angelica Del Carmen, a YouTube host and spiritual coach whose platform, Spirituality Talk Show, is a beacon for authentic and meaningful conversations. Angelica's story is a powerful example of how embracing curiosity and vulnerability and self-connection can transform not just your message, but your life. In this episode, we'll explore how to create natural and enjoyable conversations as a host, the mind-body-spirit connection in digital spaces, and how showing up authentically can amplify your presence online. Angelica's wisdom is sure to inspire and empower you no matter where you are in your journey. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's get into this beautiful conversation with Angelica.
Thank you for being here, Angelica. Your YouTube channel, Spirituality Talk Show, sorry, my tongue got twisted there, centers on spirituality and authentic conversations. So what really inspired you to start this platform?
I'll make the story short. Basically,
I love long stories.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So basically, I've been into spirituality my whole life. And for the past 25 years, I've been studying everything from mysticism to spirituality to all different kinds of religions, comparing. I tell everybody I'm a book nerd. So anything I found out, I definitely dug into. And then about 3 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to get on the YouTube. I'm going to do all these things. But I didn't want to be me talking about a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And I always have more fun talking with other people, having conversations. And that's exactly how it came up. So I opened the channel and I literally tell everybody I am a platform for us to have all these amazing conversations that a lot of us really do have with our friends. But let's take it deeper. Let's expand what we all know. Let's learn from each other. And that's exactly how it just came out.
Yeah, I love that. That's actually exactly what I'm trying to do with my own platform right now. I was speaking to what I was passionate about, but I was speaking about being passionate about empowering different voices. And then it was just my voice. That makes no sense.
Right.
How can I say that and not bring a variety of wonderful, beautiful voices here if I can? So I pivoted, and now I want to have conversations with amazing women and find out more about them and what makes them tick and get all of these different voices out. So that's really great.
Right.
So as a host yourself, then what does it mean for you to create a natural and enjoyable conversation? Because you mentioned that when we were discussing what we wanted to talk about for both the guest and the host. Are there techniques that you use to make this happen?
I do things so simple. People actually are like, oh, that's it. I'm just real. I'm just authentic in the moment. Obviously, the talk show is about spirituality. So for me, I have to be authentic with what I know, what I believe, what I don't know. I don't play the persona of, I say I know all of this, but secretly I don't, and I'm trying to play it off.
Right.
Because it comes through. So as a host, I always tell my guests, if you say something I don't know, you are authentically going to see me oh my God, tell me more. What do you mean? And it's such a heart-to-heart conversation. And people, as you know, sometimes they're very nervous when they come on. They know they're being recorded. They know people are going to watch. We get tongue-tied, and it happens to us as well. But it gets to a point that we're flowing so one-on-one at the end of the call as they're like, oh my God, time flew by. I didn't even remember we were being recorded. I just had such a good time.
Yeah.
And lately I've actually been trying to cut them down to 30 minutes, maybe 40 if anything. But my previous sessions were an hour long, and they still said it was too short. And I was like, well, we could keep going on forever off screen, but we have to cut a cut. And I think that's basically my strategy. Am I really interested in the topic? How does the person bring about the topic? How have they lived through it? How do they help others live through it? And be genuinely curious. And I think that has been the biggest thing. It's taken a stress off my shoulders. The interviewers don't feel like they're being interviewed. They're just having a conversation.
I love that. I love, and what you said a minute ago too about if you don't know something, you'll see you like really lean in and go, "Oh, tell me more." Yes. So when I was teaching, I had these experiences with professors before I was one myself, where if they didn't know the answer to the question, they would fake it, like, "Oh yeah, I know." And I swore I would never be that professor. I wanted to say, I don't know, but you know what? I am so willing to go try to figure it out. We can figure it out together and model ways for us to find the information. And I think that made a big impact on a lot of my students because it was authentic. I wasn't up there, I know a lot, and that's great about this one little thing. I know a lot about this one little thing, but I don't know everything. That's ridiculous. And you don't know everything, and nobody knows everything. Like, being curious, what you just said about just being genuinely curious, I think we could all use more of that in life in general.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically in our everyday life. It's talking to the person you've always talked to, but being curious. It's not just a Monday conversation at work. How was your weekend? It's what did you do this weekend? And oh my God, and was that great? And how did that, like, literally be genuinely curious about the person you're conversing with.
Yes. Oh, yes. And not just saying fine. Like people say, how are you? Fine. No, I want to know. Like I genuinely want to know, how are you?
Right.
Yes, I love that. Authentically listening and authentically asking, both of
Yes.
those things. Yeah. So obviously spirituality and authenticity are major themes for you. How do you incorporate those values into your own style when you show up online? I feel like you kind of answered that a little bit in this one, in the last one when I said, do you have any techniques? But do you have anything further you would like to expand on that with how you show up authentically?
I think that's changed with time because I think for everybody, it's you grow into the confidence.
Yeah.
Everybody eventually, we all start at some point and we're trying to compare ourselves either consciously or unconsciously. We're trying to compare ourselves to other people that do this. And I think one of the ways that I show up now is I feel much more confident in me, in what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
and in knowing that there's no right or wrong. And I think that takes off so much pressure. Then you just show up as you. And we're all such beautiful, unique, crazy, fun individuals.
Yeah.
When you bring your authenticity to whatever you're doing, in our case, when we come online and like video record all these things, it's, are you dressed the way you feel comfortable? It's not so much as in, how does it look good? And should I wear black? Or, okay, so let's mix in a little bit. I do boudoir as well.
Oh,
and I
neat.
empower women
Very
through
cool.
boudoir.
Yeah.
And I tell the women, you don't have to be in lingerie. You can be in a sweatshirt for all it matters. It's your attitude. It's your mindset. It's your confidence. You show that and the camera will catch it because you glow. And it's the same thing with an interview. If you're comfortable, it just shows. So pre-recording, I'm always like, okay, do I feel like I like this blouse? Do I feel like I like this? Am I comfortable? Did I take care of me? And usually the answer is yes, and it shows.
Yeah. Yes. I love that. Your confidence definitely comes through in a completely different way. You could be dressed to the nines, and this is exactly what I should be wearing for my business, not this, but this is my business attire, and this is what I should be wearing. But if you're like fidgeting and uncomfortable with it, it's so obvious. It's better to wear what you're comfortable with because confidence comes through much more than anything else. I love that. That's definitely
and
great.
that way you're also more attentive to the other person because you're not worried about, is this slipping, is this not, is it
right?
That's how you can be present with the other person.
Being present with the other person, that's something I feel like you've touched on in each one of your answers, and it's so important. And it feels a little bit like something that we're not doing as much as we used to anymore, especially if you think about digital presence, and how that can be, how we mediate that through a screen versus even though you and I are one-on-one, it's still mediated through a screen right now. So there's definitely different barriers than there would be if we were sitting face to face. So when building a digital presence around your personal and spiritual topics, that can be vulnerable, I would imagine, especially very personal topics. How do you embrace this vulnerability, and what advice would you give people looking to do the same?
That's a good one. I think there comes a point that whatever you've experienced wants to be shared. And I think the vulnerability is kind of letting our mind say, it happened, but by me sharing this with somebody else, I can teach them, I can help them, I can empower them. And I think the vulnerability comes to a point of when you step back and say, I'm going to share my story with you because I think it's going to help. Versus, I'm going to teach you what I know because I know more than you.
Right.
And I think that's the difference with the vulnerability. It's like, I'll tell my audience, and I have an audience. Have I met all of them in person? Of course not. But I already feel that it's like, okay, you guys are my audience. You guys need to know why I'm saying this, and this, and this is what led me here. Because it's going to make more sense to them on their path. And I think that's part of what took me more out of my comfort state in what have I known to share, because we've been conditioned not to share certain things. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's kind of like, what's the worst that can happen if I do?
Yeah.
And take that step.
I love that. I almost feel like there's a backlash towards being more vulnerable and more human now. So AI, of course, is huge and everywhere. And I'm a big fan of AI for a lot of different things. I ideate with it. I outline. I rough draft. Like I love it for a lot of different things. I love that it can do small social clips when we're done filming. It takes a lot of the ease for some things. But I do feel like just what I've been watching with digital marketing and with people getting their messages out, there's been a return to reality, especially if you look on YouTube. There's been a return to talking head and not like all the slick edits and the highly produced stuff that we're going back to. I want to know you as a person, and I want to have a connection with you, which I think has been interesting because like you would think that would have come maybe out of COVID when we weren't face to face with people as much. But I feel like it's now with AI and with so much AI generated content that we're like, no, I want to know you as a person. Like, what makes you tick? I don't know. Do you have a similar experience or thoughts about that?
I do. And it's interesting because I am the number one fan of AI. I really am. I think it's fascinating that all the things that we can do. But I do think more and more people are coming to, okay, I want to be real. And it's okay, from the creative side, it is... Yes, it's weird that it took a step back, that now the videos and the stuff look like more raw and not as edited.
Yeah.
But I think we're all craving for that authenticity. I think we're all craving for that realness because we all saw yes, when you're crying and bawling, you don't put it on social media. And everybody got tired of that perfect life, which we know hasn't been good for a lot of people. It's a comparison that social media has unfortunately brought about to life. And I think that taking a step back does bring more people into the raw, real, show me your true essence. Show me your you. Yeah, in all categories.
Yeah, I love that. And you've seen how it's been really difficult for kids that have grown up in social media. I'm not sure about your age. My age is that I feel lucky that I didn't have my adolescence and teenager in social media. I'm really happy that I was able to grow up and be stupid and make stupid mistakes.
And there's no
without that being immortalized forever on social media, because I definitely made some.
Right.
But you're seeing these kids having to like curate a life that's just not what reality at least used to be. Maybe it's becoming more towards that, but maybe that's where this backlash is coming in. Like they curate to a point and they're like, okay, this isn't working for me, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it started. Let's say the word trending. I don't know where it started trending to take a step back. But yeah, I'm glad that it has, because it did get to a point that it was, okay, that's beautiful, but it's unreal.
Yeah.
And it could be real for some people. But the fact that it hasn't been real for the majority makes the people think, well, they made it and I can't, and I'm the loser.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not it. You're human. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. So another one of your topics is women's embodiment. How do you feel that connecting to one's body, and I love that you do boudoir, I'm not saying this correctly, boudoir, is that right?
Boudoir, yeah.
Boudoir, but I can't say it
I don't
again.
even know if I say it correctly. That's just how I say it.
That is so cool. I didn't know you did that. If I had known that, I would have been like, oh,
anyway. But how do you feel that connecting to one's body and spirit can help amplify that authentic voice online?
Like 300%.
Yeah.
It all goes back to confidence, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about women for a second. I know men go through things as well, but obviously as a woman, that's all I can relate to.
Same. Yeah.
As a woman, many of us were conditioned as in take care of yourself and don't do this and don't show too much cleavage and don't be sexy. And if you do this, then it's your fault that they looked at you and blah, 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 like all these things.
Yeah.
So what happens? We start hating our own bodies. We can't do anything about our bodies except, mutilate them, diet them, like all these things. So there goes the self-love. There goes the self-body. There goes all these things. So what I do with the women's embodiment is, from a spiritual perspective, I remind everybody, women, men, anybody that I can, we're such beautiful and powerful beings, period. It's just remembering that we're that. But then through the embodiment, it's more of a, look at your hand. When was the last time you caressed your own hand? Why do we have to wait for somebody else to come and touch us?
Yeah.
Why do we have to wait for somebody else to come and look at us and say, oh, wow, you look beautiful today?
Yeah.
Look at yourself in the mirror and start slowly, because it's a matter of all those crazy thoughts in our head, right?
Yeah.
I see the wrinkle, I see the this, I see the spot, like the sun mark thing. It's like I'm getting older, I have less hair, whatever all these backlashes are.
Yeah.
Once we start getting more comfortable with us, it's what I said at the beginning, our confidence comes up. And in order to show up online, we really have to be such at a good place with ourselves to say, that came out bad and I'm okay with it. That came out good and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But because you're at a place of confidence with you. And sometimes it does take a little bit of trial and error, and that's okay.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I've had a similar experience. About a year and a half ago now, I hired a running coach, not to be fast, not to win races, but just, it was something that was really important to me in my early 20s, and I wanted to get that back. And I had no idea what it would do for me spiritually, not just physically. I would say my transformation spiritually versus physically is the one that ended up being the biggest transformation. I have learned so much about myself and what I was capable of, and about things like patience and small wins adding up to a big win. Just so much about who makes me through learning to run again, which I thought it was just, I'm going to lose some weight, I'm going to get in shape, and I'm going to feel better. That actually had, if you look at it, in the 100% bowl of something, that's maybe 6% of it. And the rest of it, how I grew as a person and started loving myself as a person again, changed. And people noticed. They didn't comment on weight loss. They commented on confidence, and they commented on happiness and loving. And it's interesting, that physical body connection and seeing how strong you can be and how committed you could be to something really ended up changing me as a person, much more than anything else. It's, that mind-body connection is powerful.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. It's that whole connection of you're having fun. The weight loss, all of that, it's a side effect. Do we want it? Of course. Who doesn't want to do that? Do we want to be healthy? Of course. We all should be more healthy. I mean, even if it's 1% more a day. Yeah. But it's that getting to know you. That's the part that really, like you just said, expanded you to such a level that people notice. And those are like those subtle changes, like that soft change. Yeah. I know when we come online, when we're hosts or when we're trying to do all these things, we always think it's the physical, right? The confidence of this, of that, how do you look? But it's that. It's having that trust in you. It's having that expansion to be willing to take that step and see what happens, where it goes.
Yeah, definitely. What a fun topic. Like, I feel like I could talk about the mind-body connection forever. I think about things like in the American healthcare system. I lived in Sweden for a really long time, so it was different there. But in the American healthcare system, we piecemeal our healthcare. Like you go to a doctor for the heart and a doctor for your foot and a doctor for this, and how we've lost that. Well, there's functional medicine doctors, which I absolutely adore, but how we've lost this holistic approach. Like our mind and our body and our ailments are not connected, even though we're one meat sack.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we are connected. So, example, this morning I had a call with a coaching call. And she was telling me I feel sick and I feel tired and I feel like she was giving me all these physical descriptions. I am not a doctor. I am not a functional doctor either.
Right.
But we were talking and the conversation went elsewhere. And then we got to the root of what was happening and blah, blah, blah. And we did some embodiment and sensual things and, blah, blah, blah. And by the end of the call, she goes, my body doesn't hurt. She goes, I've been on the phone with you for 90 minutes because hers was a 90-minute session.
Yeah.
And she goes, my body doesn't hurt. I'm not aching. I'm not this. And why? It's not of anything that I did. Our bodies are so powerful. And you're right. It's that whole mind, body, spirit connection.
Yeah.
We're so, my word is discombobulated.
I love that word.
Don't ask me to spell it though. But it's true. It's like we're walking heads.
Yeah.
We forget we're connected to the rest of our body, and our body is literally yelling at us.
Yeah.
Pay attention to me here. And we're so in our heads, or we go to a doctor. I have nothing against conventional medicine. It has saved me. It has.
There's a
but
place
I
for
realize
it
that
for
there's
sure.
a difference. Exactly. And it's like when you get to the root of a problem, in my opinion, you don't need the medicine and you don't need the this and you don't need the get to the root of the problem. Your body will heal as much as we allow it. And I think that's the key word. It's us allowing our body to do what it knows how to do without us tripling all over it.
Yes, I love that. I absolutely love that. What advice would you give to aspiring hosts, aspiring podcast or YouTube hosts who want to create a platform like you have built and I'm trying to build here around meaningful and authentic conversations? If you were to give them this is, a good piece of advice, what would you say to them? It doesn't have to be good. It can be any advice.
No pressure. I honestly think it's to have fun.
Yeah.
We take it so seriously. Yes, there's SEO. Yes, there's title. Yes, there's thumbnails. Yes, there's all these things that go into it.
Yeah.
But if we're not having fun with what we're doing, we're going to burn out just like in anything else.
Yes.
So I think just choose a topic or go for the topic or do something that you love to have conversations about when you're grabbing a cup of coffee with somebody. Because it's going to make it so much easier and so much fun. And you're going to be able to go through all the ups and downs and the algorithms and all that crap. But just for you in life, as a host and as a person, have fun with what you're doing. I think that's my number one advice. Don't take it so serious. It'll grow. Doesn't matter the speed. Just keep doing what you're doing and put your heart into it.
Yeah.
Have fun.
I love that. And I felt like, so I'm in a group where we're doing an accountability pod right now and helping each other start and grow our businesses. And 2 of the 4 of us in there have had to pivot a little bit because we thought we were talking to our ideal customer, but we weren't. we didn't quite have a good handle on it. I was one of the ones that pivoted. And both she and I, when we got to our real passion, like not only the person that we wanted to talk to, but when we moved out of who we thought we were supposed to be talking to who we were passionate about, excited about talking to, both of us, we just lit up. And that's what everyone in the group was saying is like, well, now you're glowing. Now we see it. Right. You're like, oh, okay. So what you just said about have fun and maybe get away from what you think you're supposed to be doing and move into what your passion drives you to do too.
Right. Go more with your feeling than your thinking.
Yeah. Lead with your heart for sure. Yeah.
Completely.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say completely. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. So where can listeners connect with you and where can they find you to learn more about what you do and how they can get in touch with you?
So I'm in the middle of rebranding everything, literally everything. So the talk show that we are talking about. So if they want to go on YouTube, it's Spirituality Talk Show.
Okay.
I'm working on the website, so it's spiritualitytalkshow.com, but that's not up yet. And then everything that I do, healing-wise, readings, sessions, empowerment, like all of that,
Yeah.
I am doing through my name. So it's angelicadelcarmen.com.
Okay.
So those would be the best places.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I have really enjoyed this conversation. I love talking about the mind-body connection and spiritual, being authentic and getting to know who you are and then sharing that person with the world, because that definitely goes back to our main themes on this channel of getting your voice out and being authentic and daring to have a voice, right? Daring to speak up. And I mean, the title of this is I Think You're Muted. I heard that so many times in meetings where we'd be on a Zoom meeting and people would go, yeah, I think you're muted. And I was like, yeah, we're living on mute half of the time. So the fact that we can use our voices and use them authentically is really important.
Right. No, and thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for doing this, because I agree. It's so many people have so much to say, whether it's whatever topic it is. We have the freedom to say it. I mean, even with the spirituality, I can talk about so many different ranges, right?
Yeah.
But the joke of it is, okay, years ago, people who would talk about these things were AKA witches.
Oh.
And they got burned at the stake, to put it one way or another. We don't live in that time anymore. We don't need to hide whatever it is we want to talk about. It's not just the spirituality. It's use your voice, use your power, and use it to help somebody else.
Yeah, I love that. Bring people with you. Like if you have gotten a hand up, reach back and grab the next person.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
No, thank you for having me.
Thanks.